Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ila Pachauri, co-founder mcube. I welcome you all along with Ekta Sehgal Malhotra, the founder of our what do I say mcube. And today we have a birthday, so let's begin by saying a nice, cheerful happy birthday to her. Wish you a happy birthday, Ekta.
Thank you so
Happy
much, Leela.
birthday, Ekta.
Thank
Happy
you, Rezina.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And indeed, today is a very special day for Ekta and for us. And today we have Rezina Denis with us. So, what is Rezina Denis going to talk to us about? Before that, let me introduce Rezina to all of you, who have joined us on Facebook. Most welcome to each and everyone. So, what does Rezina do? Rezina is an ICF certified life coach. She's a business coach. She's an organizational development coach. She's an NLP coach. She's a writer's coach. She herself is an author. And she's a mother to a beautiful 11-year-old girl who herself has authored, I think, 2 books, Rezina?
3 books.
3 books.
Three.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Rezina is also a strategy consultant for corporates. Most importantly, why we have gathered here today is to discuss parenting. So Rezina is an expert. She's a parenting coach, and she also coaches kids. Just now we were discussing that of late parenting has become quite a challenging task for parents. While as parents we always strive hard to keep on instructing our kids, guiding them and being after their lives at certain times so that they may excel in every field. But some of us totally fail at identifying the mistakes that we ourselves are doing as parents. So today Rezina will tell us all about parenting, the do's and don'ts of parenting, and she'll give us some tips on how to handle kids, how to improve your relationships with them. So over to you, Rezina, a little bit about yourselves from your own this thing, and then let's open it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ela, Ekta, for having me here. And a big namaskar to everyone who is watching me here right now. Um, it's a great opportunity to communicate and speak to all of you all about parenting. Um, I just want to start with one thing which I believe in as a parent, as an individual, as a coach. A gateway to a child's heart is a child's mind. We're going to talk about this. We're going to know about this a lot in detail as we progress. But just want everyone who's listening to me to just recollect what I just said. A gateway to a child's heart is a child's mind. It's a beautiful thought. It's a thought which you must always, always keep in mind when you are dealing or handling your children. So, on this note, I once again thank Ekta and Ila for having me here for this amazing mcube series through which I have seen both of them, transforming lives, adding so much of value, adding so much of knowledge in lives of each and everyone who are watching them and who's going to even watch this. So thank you, Ekta. Thank you, Ila, for this wonderful mcube series which you are running.
Pleasure
And
is ours.
It's our privilege to have you here with us.
thank you, thank you. Same here. It's my privilege too. So we begin today's session. This session, as Ekta had already mentioned, that it's going to be in series. So today, the first session is going to be slightly lighter. It's going to be a session which is going to make you go back and think and introspect a bit. All right. So we are going to start quickly. Before we start, just once again, one more thing I want to tell everyone and every parent here. Parents, you are the best. You are doing everything for your children. Whatever you are doing it with your full heart, full commitment. So don't get disappointed if your children are not listening to you, if your children are being stubborn, if your children are being acting a little weird these days. These times are hard for us as well as the children. So there have been, a lot of ups and downs which has happened in the last couple of 8-9 months. So I just want to tell all parents, you are the best. You are doing really well, And with this session, my aim is to help you to create another wonderful journey with your children. That's the whole idea. The idea here is to give you and share you with some intellectual tips, which is going to help you make your parenting journey slightly simple and make it really, really awesome. Right. So if we'll proceed, Ekta, any question, anything you would want to ask before we proceed into the
So
presentation?
I think we proceed and
I have a
yes,
question. Ah, most people do not know what is NLP.
Yes.
So since today our topic is
Yes.
NLP,
Yes.
so you should begin by telling people what is NLP and how can parents
Yes,
benefit
Ila.
by practicing neuro-linguistic process.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So today in this session, I'm going to absolutely, as Ela said, this session is called Reprogram and Restart Your Parenting with NLP. NLP is called Neuro Linguistic Programming, and we are going to learn all about NLP before we actually move ahead with understanding its techniques. So thank you, Ela, for asking that, and that is what precisely we're going to know. So I'm going to quickly start the presentation now.
Yeah.
All right, is my screen visible?
Yes.
yes.
Wonderful. So as we said, this session is about parenting. This session is about how you can reprogram and restart your parenting with NLP. But before that, before you know NLP, I think it's so important for us to just take a step back and see where we are today, what's happening today, and then you'll get more clarity about why you should learn and know NLP about. So let's begin. So when I say parenting today, I'm sure when you look at this slide right now it's blank, but there could be many thoughts running in each other's mind, right? Parenting today, when I just ask, say for example, Ekta, if I ask you to just mention parenting today, what's the word which comes in your mind?
Mentoring.
Mentoring. Ela, what about you?
It could be many words, but yes, guiding, guidance.
Guiding. Wonderful. Mentoring and guiding, such amazing, amazing words and amazing techniques to handle your children with. That's super. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's quickly begin and look at what is parenting today, or rather, what's happening today. Okay. So, firstly, when we become parents, do you think you get a user manual? I don't think so, right? We don't get a user manual. For us,
We also
our
have, we also have a comment on Facebook where Pushpa is saying that parenting is learning.
learning. Yes, Pushpa, awesome. That's also amazing thought that parenting is learning. So when we become parents, I think we never get any kind of training. We don't have a user manual. We believe in ourselves. We believe in our instincts. We speak to our mothers. We speak to our grandmothers, and whatever is told to us, and that's how we proceed. And of course, we learn in the process. Correct? That's how parenting generally starts with. Nobody tells you that it's going to be tough either, right? Everybody encourages you to become a parent. So that's
Yes.
that's what it is. Yeah. So what happens is when we are parenting with experiences, with uh, some experiences of our family members, our friends and colleagues, and all of that, it definitely works. Traditional methods do work. I don't deny that at all. But have you ever realized that it only works up to a certain age? Say maybe 5 or 6. After that, suddenly when our children start talking, walking, demanding, gadgeting, that's the time when we actually sit back and think, what have I done? Why is my child behaving like this? I'm sure a lot of us will be agreeing to this experience. I have experienced this as a mother, and I'm sure each one of us would have experienced it. And that's when we start thinking, what is that is lacking in my parenting that my child is just not listening to me, or my child doesn't want to give away that gadget. And the list is long. Am I right? Great. So, another problem which occurs is that we are not able to communicate or make our children listen to us. I'm sure we all agree that बिना 3 बार डांटे या 5 बार चिल्लाए our children don't listen to us. Correct? That's the next problem. और इसका कोई solution नहीं होता. If you ask anybody, they'll say यही करना पड़ता है. That's the way children listen. You can't do anything. आंखें दिखाओ, चिल्लाओ, बोलो, सब सुनते हैं. So I think that's another challenge which we face today in this parenting world. And most importantly, that children are drifting away. I have seen many children who are drifting away from their parents because they are not able to communicate well with them, and they are drifting away and getting connected with other friends or other family members, and they have stopped sharing. And most importantly, I think they're drifting away towards social media, which is also a very, very bigger challenge right now. So, having said all of this, what is a child? A child is just like a sponge. Okay, it absorbs whatever comes in its way, be it goodness, be it behaviors, be it fears, depression, happiness, anger, anything, positive as well as negative, both. So why I'm saying this right now is all that you heard me saying, that it backfires us, they don't listen to us, they are into gadgets, they are driven towards social media. There's one fact that is that until the age of 10, children learn everything from within our homes. Yeah. When they are born, whom do they see for the first time? It's we as parents, right? We are the only people they know. We are the only people they interact with so closely. Yeah. For them, we are the heroes of their life, or the heroines of their life, or the superheroes and the heroines of their life, right? So when parents come to me when I'm coaching, children and parent, and when they come and, very troubled, and they say, my child doesn't listen to me, my child has fears, has phobias, gets very angry, is not at all happy. The first thing I do is I ask them, what is the environment in the house, or what is the environment the child is exposed to? Because the fact is, until the age of 10, children learn everything from within the homes, that is, we parents, or the kind of environment we give them. So, if you have to just sum this up, generally, parents tend to blame others for their children's behavior. We always say, अच्छा स्कूल में करता होगा, I don't know. Maybe स्कूल में बच्चे थोड़े वैसे हैं तो मेरा बच्चा भी वैसा हो गया है. Or we obviously blame the child, right? We say, my child is just like that, I've given up, doesn't listen at all. So that is something which is the real problem, that we don't actually get into understanding that what could be the reasons which are stemming, because of which all these things are happening in our lives. So, what is the duty of as parents? As Ekta said, mentoring. Ela said, and one lady on Facebook also said, learning, guidance. I think yes, as parents, our job is to empower our children, right? Isn't it? We always encourage them. We always empower them. We shouldn't leave our responsibilities on external environment to make sure that our children turn out to be what we want them to turn out to be. Like, generally, I have seen, parents actually blame school teachers, tuition teachers, uncles, aunties, and even fairy godmothers. This is on a lighter note. But yes, we as parents always look externally when we see behavior issues in our children. That's what I'm trying to say here. So on this note, before we proceed to understanding what NLP is all about, there's this one important message which I want to communicate and which I would like to share as a parent, is that if you want your child to be disciplined, if you want your child to be kind, if you want your child to be humble, if you want your child not to be spending time on social media, the first step towards good parenting is to model those behaviors. Model those behaviors which you want to see in your child. If you're going to be an angry, grumpy parent, you will see your child will pick up that behavior from you and in turn be angry and grumpy. This is not gyan, this is science, it's been proved, this is absolute science which I'm talking about. And I'm sure when you close your eyes right now and recollect certain moments, you will see that your child is a reflection of you in certain behaviors. Yeah. So that's one thing very, very important. Now with NLP, what you can do? With NLP, you can actually understand this, that what behavior my child is displaying or what behavior my child is showcasing, where is it stemming from, and how you can actually with the use of NLP, change these habits and behaviors in a very beautiful way so that you as a parent and your child can successfully grow into this parenting journey together. So before I proceed to NLP, Ekta, if there are any comments and questions, I would love to ask you.
No, I think I quite agree with you that typically a child will do exactly what you do. But my only question to you is that more so in the current times, where we are all home and children do watch that, we are on phones and laptops. Forget the social media part of it, I mean, since my child is not exposed to social media, but they do know what a Facebook is or what a Zoom call is because they keep hearing us. Now, how do we avoid that in the current times? If you could throw some light on that before you proceed further.
So, Ekta, in my future series, I have a complete, talk on social media part. So we can definitely get in detail during that discussion.
Sure.
But just to quickly answer your question is that, yes, today I think everybody is working from home and we are all exposed to social media. That is absolutely right. Okay. But there are two ways to look at it, or rather, there's one way to look at it. Uh, we are all working. I totally understand. Parents start their day from 9 in the evening and wind up at 6 in the evening, 7 in the evening. But I know parents who are working till 12 in the night, on because they are working, or they are spending after 6 or 7 p.m. They are spending their time on social media for whatever purpose, for networking, etc., etc. What happens is when children question their parents, the reaction is very negative. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that if you make your child sit down and tell them, listen, mama, papa needs to be on Facebook because mama is hosting a show, mama is giving an interview, mama is doing this, etc. When you tell your children about what you actually do, children do understand. When you make them understand, they know the difference between spending time on social media because of work and career and spending time on social media for generally chit chatting or etc. Whatever. So I think you can't run away from the fact that you can't spend time on social media. You have to. But I think it's clearly educating your children on what you must and what you must not. Yeah, I think that is there. But having said that, parents, please, I'm requesting all of y'all is I understand we are all working from home, but you can always remove 1 hour at least gadget free time for your children where you sit with them, talk to them, play with them, keeping your phones away, keeping your social media away. That is what children want. Even if you can do that, I think that is good enough. So
Do that.
we just we'll proceed to the most awaited, which is what is NLP. But before that, one message to everyone. Remember this, parent, you are the most significant in the life of your child. As I said, when your child was born, they first saw you. They opened their eyes and they saw you. You are most significant in the life of your child. Your child's behaviors, your child's future, your child's habits, all depends on you. So be that significant parent in the life of your child. Okay, so what is NLP? So as we already said that it is called neuro-linguistic programming. NLP is absolute science. Okay, it's absolute science. It's a research, science, and technique, which I'm going to tell you how it is formed. Neuro-linguistic programming. What is neuro? Simple terms, neuro means our brain. Yeah, our brain perceives information. So right now, whatever I'm talking to you, everybody is listening to me, but first the information is getting processed in our brain. And that's when you're listening to me, and that's when you have reactions. You must be thinking, okay, Rezina is saying this, yeah, this is right. Oh, this I don't agree with, etc., etc. The first area which affects is your brain when somebody is talking to you or behaving or reacting or acting. So neuro is brain. Linguistic is language. I'm going to explain this in detail. And programming, P stands for programming. Now, how do you understand NLP? NLP is very simple. NLP is starts with brain. So whenever there's an information which is thrown at you, our brain perceives the information through our senses. We all know we have 5 senses, correct? So we see at a situation, we hear a situation, we feel the situation. Sometimes when sometimes when you are at a restaurant, you actually just smell your food and you say, oh, that's a pizza, oh, that's a burger, right? That I'm sure a lot of people can relate to what I'm saying. And of course, taste. So these are our five important senses through which we perceive any information which comes to us, right? Once an information comes to us, we decide our actions basis the way we perceive the information. Okay, I'm repeating this. We decide our action basis the way we perceive this information. Now, how do we act? We either act verbally or we act non-verbally, right? Our actions can be verbal where we talk with words, or our actions can be non-verbal where we just give expression, we just have a tone, or sometimes even your heartbeat is one of the non-verbal language. For example, if your child comes to you, hugs you, and doesn't say anything, just hugs you. I'm sure your facial expression is full of happiness, your heart is full of love. This is the non-verbal language which you're communicating with your child. If your child comes and misbehaves in front of you, yeah, what do? We always scream at them, shout at them. Those are language, those are verbal language words which we communicate with them. And what is programming? Programming is what are the kind of new behaviors we create basis what our mind has actually perceived in terms of information. Now, this may sound little technical, but don't worry. As we move ahead, you will understand this much in a simpler way when I explain it further. So, just a quick recap. What is NLP? It's neuro linguistic programming. Neuro means brain. Anything and everything which happens around you, whether you see it, whether you hear it, whether you feel it, is first processed by our brain. Once our brain perceives any information, then is the linguistic, which is language, which is our body language, which is our verbal language, which is our non-verbal language, in which we decide to act. And then programming is the overall behavior or the output which comes out of it once you have perceived the information and acted on it. Yeah. Now you will beautifully understand how NLP is getting connected to parenting. I'm going to explain this in future. So now let's go ahead and understand why NLP was discovered. Okay. But in simpler words, NLP is a user manual for our mind. This is what NLP is. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how it's a user manual. Why was NLP introduced? Okay, NLP is a concept which was introduced in 1970 when there was Mr. Richard Bandler and Grinder. Okay, these were two researchers who had decided to research as to why certain successful people are really successful. What is so different about them, and which they can do and I cannot do. So let me first give you one fact here. Nobody is intelligent or dumb in a simple word, or non-intelligent. All our brains are same. We all have equal neurons. We all have equal brain. The way we use our brain makes us less intelligent or more intelligent. Yeah. So one most important uh, advice to all the parents: never call your child that you are not intelligent, because let me tell you, scientifically, everybody has equal brain power. It's the way you use it creates a difference. Otherwise, all our brain powers is equal. Now, coming back to why was NLP introduced? So NLP was a technique which Bandler and Grinder actually used to study people who were more successful in their life. They actually observed them, only observed them, not spoken to them or not taken any data from them. They only observed them as to what do they do, how do they behave, how do they talk, how do they think, how do they interpret things, how do they walk, what is their posture. All of it was observed, and then they came up with a conclusion that these people use their neuro linguistic programming in a very effective way, because of which they were highly successful and better than other therapists in their own community. So, the conclusion was that the pattern which these therapists or these people whom were studied followed were they were using lot of lot of language and lot of programming in their conscious state to work on any activity which was given to them, because of which they had different and better results than anyone else. So they used a lot of language, they used a lot of they used their visual, their auditory, which is, they saw well, they heard well, they felt well whenever they were doing things, and they were constantly using their neuroprogramming to work on anything and everything which came their way, because of which they were more successful than others. So in short, the summary here is that when you use your brain to act or react before you think or assume anything, the results are different, the output is better, and the results are likely to be more positive. Yeah. So this is what NLP means. NLP means using your brain in such a way that you create positive behaviors. We are going to learn a little more about it, and it will get simpler and simpler when we talk about practical examples. All right. But just for all the parents out there, what I'm trying to say here is that today is the world of AI, digital, correct, social media, right? I did a small survey recently, and I spoke to few parents who had children in the era of 2000 onwards, and children who were in the 1980 categories. Yeah, I did a small survey and I asked the challenges of parents while for the 1980s I'm talking about, and the challenges which parents are facing in the 2000 era. You won't believe, there were two, three common challenges, but rest everything was different. Now you must be wondering that बच्चे तो बच्चे होते हैं, parent तो parent होते हैं. How can challenges be different? So in 1980, parents said the top challenge for them was academics, getting their children study academics and discipline, right? Nobody spoke about social media at all. Yeah. But the parents who had children in the 2000 category, they said academics, yes, discipline, yes, social media was very important challenge which they are facing today, and they don't know how to actually solve it. And there were many other challenges like how do we teach our children to be happy? How do we teach our children to be organized? How do we teach our children to listen to us? But 1980s parents did not have this challenge. Yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that why do you need NLP? You need NLP because neuro-linguistic programming is a programming or a structure which deals with mind and brain. There are constant studies and researches which happen in this, and there are a lot of solutions which are dated solutions. They are not sub-dated solutions. They are dated solutions. So anybody and everybody, whichever era your children is in, if you have toddlers, if you have teens and tweens, NLP works for all category of children in all age groups. Yeah. So we move on to the next part. Just let's understand how does our mind function. As a parent, you must be wondering, why is Rezina not telling me how can I make my child listen to me? That's going to come. But you need to know this first, that how does our mind function? Because when you know this, that's when you will learn what I am trying to tell you in future about how you should do effective parenting with NLP. So please, we are going to come to that. I know you are excited or even anxious to know solutions, but let's understand this before we move ahead. So how does our mind work? So this is our mind. Yeah, we receive communication. When you receive a communication, okay, like for example, what I am talking right now, Ekta's takeaways will not be as same as Ila's takeaways. Ela is writing certain points which Ekta is not writing, even though I am speaking to all of you similarly. Am I right? So this is what exactly our mind does. When you receive an information, yeah, we first perceive the information. So right now when I'm talking, you're listening to me, right? But all your senses are involved in watching this program right now. I'll tell you how. Some people are smiling, some people are slightly worried, pata nahi what is happening. Some people have some kind of lines on their forehead because they are thinking. So everybody is involved in this through all their senses, not only listening to me, but you're involved through all your senses, right? So our mind functions in this way. When you receive any information, we first accept that information in our mind through our senses, which is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. This means what? Visual is we first see it, We hear it, we feel it, we smell it, and we even taste it when it comes to food. Yeah. So these are the five senses which get activated immediately when an information comes to you. Once an information comes to you, do you think we take the information as is? No, we don't. We always generalize an information, we always distort an information, or we always delete the information. Now, what do I mean by this? As I just said, whatever I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking absolutely similarly to everyone. But what you take away from here is going to be basis what your mind is thinking right now. So some of you may delete something which I'm saying. Some of you may generalize something which I'm saying, that how can she say that, parents can't be on social media whole day. So some people will just delete something which I'm saying because it may not be acceptable to your brain. And some people may just distort it. Like, for example, if I teach you 10 spellings today, you may learn only five and you may just distort five, saying that mujhe nahi seekhna, right? So this is what our mind does. Whenever you get any information, you first process it, but when you process it, you generalize the information, you delete the information, you distort the information. Let me give you one more example to make it a little more simpler. When your child comes to you and says that, you know what, Mama, I scored 0 marks in maths, or I scored very less in maths. I think uh, today parents, of course, are very sensitive. But I know parents whose reaction has been, yeah, I knew it. You are never good at maths. I knew it. You never studied. I knew it. You're going to fail. Yeah. So what is the parent doing here? The parent is actually just generalizing, distorting, and deleting whatever the child has come up with. Quite possible the child has a phobia of maths. Quite possible the child has a fear of failure. Quite possible the child is emotionally affected with something which is not making him or her, deliver that maths as a subject. So this is one of the examples. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to it. This is science which I'm talking about. Any information which comes to you, we do not take it as is. We generalize, we delete, we distort basis our beliefs. Now this is also very important. We generalize, delete, distort basis our belief. What do I mean by this? This means that the way you are, the kind of person you are, you will take that information basis your personality type. Your personality type will have lot of baggages. There could be some past beliefs which you have. Like, for example, बच्चों को मारना ही चाहिए वरना नहीं सुनते हैं. Correct? That could be one of the beliefs with a lot of parents have. And whenever the child misbehaves, they use the same technique. Correct? So these are our past beliefs. So human mind works in certain way. We come across an event, any event, let's take any event as an example. But when that event happens, our mind filters by generalizing, distorting, deleting, and we create another event in our mind. Yeah. For example, there is somebody who's posting all rosy pictures on social media. When we look at it, we say, oh, wow, they must be so happy. Yeah, this couple must be so happy. But real story, we don't know. What have we done here? We have just seen the picture. We have generalized, distorted, deleted, and we have assumed, this is a very happy couple. Oh, she's really doing well, etc., etc. So we create another event in our own mind. Now, my question is event 1 equal to event 2? It is not. It is never going to be. It is never going to be. And that's where all the problem occurs. We create the event 2 basis our past experiences, basis our frustrations, basis our beliefs. There can be positive beliefs, there can be negative beliefs, and then we act on it basis the state we are into. Right? I hope this is simpler. This is making sense. Great. Now, before we proceed, just one fact which everybody should know is that we have 80 billion neurons in our brain, and every neuron has a capacity of 82 GB. You can imagine how much information we can store in our mind, be it a child, be it a grown up. Yeah, that's the capacity we are blessed with. But what do? We, all of us, including me, all of us, we generalize, distort, delete information, and we create event to kind of memories, which are not very pleasing, which could be negative, which could be positive as well. But Most of the time, when we have baggages, we'll always tend to create negative event to memories, and we will also always tend to react negatively to situations which come to us. Yeah. So this is how our mind functions. Can I go ahead, Ekta, Ela, if there's any questions?
Yes, please go ahead.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
So we have understood how our mind functions. Now let's understand how neurolinguistic programming can be benefiting to everyone. So these are some of the benefits, okay? The first benefit neurolinguistic programming offers to you is it changes the state of your mind. It breaks the negative patterns. It teaches you how not to generalize, not to delete, not to distort, so that you can pick up the information which is given to you as is without judging it, without deleting it, without distorting it, and controlling your action or reaction basis that. Yeah. If you're going to act and react basis your event to or basis your assumptions, your actions and reactions can be negative. Yeah. So this is what NLP is going to be deep rootedly helping you, is to change your state of mind so that you may not judge at situations, you may not generalize situations, you may not delete, you may not distort, and you may be able to control your action and reaction appropriately. And this beautifully works in case of children. Yeah, that's why NLP is going to be beneficial to parents. And if NLP is actually, I must say this, NLP is used by the world famous coaches all around to help their clients to come out of, say, maybe negative beliefs. It is used by sports personalities before they are actually preparing for their competition or their races or their games. They actually use NLP to train their mind so that they can, give that kind of performance while they are on field. Yeah. So NLP works in all segments of life, especially in parenting. It has a very beautiful way it works with. Okay. It also teaches you and tells you that the problems which we face in our day-to-day life, they are not bigger than our brain. Because when you learn NLP, your brain will be so supremely working that any problem which comes to you, you will actually solve it technically with the use of your brain, and your problems will look much smaller. Another beautiful part of NLP is it doesn't focus on past. It doesn't focus on past. So if there's anybody who comes to me, any parent comes to me for coaching, or any child who comes to me for coaching, say for a phobia, NLP doesn't get into why this has happened, what is the past, etc. NLP understands the present situation, resolves your present so that your future can be better. That's one of the best benefits NLP has. And of course, it makes you bigger than your problem. It makes you bigger than your problem. What I mean by this is that your problems will look smaller because you'll be able to solve this in minutes. As parents, you will learn some techniques in NLP which will make your child listen to you in minutes. It's tried and tested. The techniques which I'm going to share with you in our future series, you can actually try it in your children, and you will see that yes, your children have started listening to you in minutes. Yeah, that's how NLP works, because it works at subconscious mind level. Great. All right, so let's move on. And yes, this is so important, as I mentioned, that NLP is not only beneficial for parents, it's beneficial for teachers, for leaders, for sports enthusiasts, for actors, for individuals. Many people, famous people out there, use NLP for their growth and success. We already spoke about this, but just a quick reminder. As a parent, I always tell parents that you have to first clear your past, okay, so that it does not come onto your child. So it's so important. It's a very thoughtful slide which I have put here. I was thinking whether I should or I should not, but as a parent, I have done this myself. When I was able to clear my past damage, that's when I was able to effectively nurture and take care of my child and parent my child in a very positive way. So as parents, if you are stuck in some negative beliefs, some past traumas, some past bad experiences, please try to get away from it. Try to heal yourself from it. Because when you do that, you will see how beautifully you will be able to nurture your parent. Otherwise, it'll keep coming your way. It'll keep coming your way in terms of frustration, in terms of guilt, and you will ultimately not have patience to handle your children, because handling children needs patience. You cannot be impatient while handling children. So please take care of this aspect. Reach out to an expert or anybody who can help you to get out of the past damage. So this is all what I said. Your subconscious mind, if it is not repaired, it does not let you look into the future. Future should be prepared and past has to be repaired. This is a mantra which I follow always. And there's this one state of mind which we all live in, right? We all live in future state of mind, isn't it? Right now, when you're sitting here, I'm sure you're thinking, Acha, ek ghante ke baad, what I'm going to do? Acha, tomorrow is Sunday. What is my plan? Aren't you? Aren't you planning for the future? We humans continuously keep planning for the future. That what is it that I'm going to do next? What is that I'm going to do next? And in Sanskrit, what this state is called, we say bhavishya, right? We always live in the bhavishya. So it's called, the bhavishya is split into two. It's called bhava, which means ghatit hona, and ishta means hamare want, desires, and divine. What I'm trying to say here is that whenever you are thinking about your bhavishya, you always think, "Ki hame kya chahiye? What is that? What are our desires? What is that we want to be?" We constantly keep thinking about our future. But if you want to do that, if you want your future to be better, you should always repair your past. It's very, very important as an individual, and it's equally important as a parent for you to be in the right state of mind to nurture and parent your children. And NLP can beautifully do that for you. And lastly, remember I spoke about we all have 80 billion neurons. Now, when you want results, what you need to do is you need to tell your 80 billion neurons that, listen, I want to be a good parent. You have to tell your child's 80 billion neurons that, listen, I want you to do this because this is good for you. NLP is going to teach you how to talk to your neurons so that you can get positive results and you can have a bright future yourself as well as with your child. So, what is that going to happen next? So, bottom line of NLP is that if you always do what you have always done, then you will always get what you have always got. So today, if as parents we are stuck, if as parents our children are not listening to us, I'm sure we all are trying a lot of ways to, get them on track, but it's not working. Maybe it's not working. So if you want it to work, then you will have to do something different. And if you want to do something different, first thing I would urge and I would suggest you as a parent is clear your past damage and see how beautifully you will come out as a parent, how free you will be to nurture your parent. So, this is a slide which I really want to focus on, and I want to tell each parent that parenting first, parenting change first begins with you. Repair yourself. If you have any past beliefs, get rid of them. See how you can heal yourself so that you can take care of your children, our future generations, very, very well. We need our future generations. Our environment is in trouble. Our planet is in trouble. There are so many things happening. Who's going to keep that intact? Our children. They are our future generations. And creating those future generations in your hand. So first, gather yourself, get back, get that damage out of your mind and become more healthy or healthier, or become more pleasant, or become more happy so that you can bring up this future generation of ours. Okay, now let's talk about the real stuff. Okay, what I'm sure all of us want to know, and you want me to talk about this, that what are the challenges which parents face. So let's quickly have a look at it. What are the challenges which we parents face? Our children behave badly sometimes. Yeah, they're very stubborn. They back answer. They don't listen. They lack in studies. Yeah, some children also go through a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, hyperactivity. They are fear. They don't want to meet people. They want to talk to people. They like to spend time on their own. They have phobia. Children have phobia of darkness. Yeah, children have phobia of heights. They can't sleep alone in their rooms, which kinds of sometimes troubles the parents that why is my child like this? Anger issues. There are children who have anger issues. They can't control their anger. They go hit another child and they come back when they are angry. So these are some challenges which we face as parents. Introvert children, lot of parents come to me saying that my child is introvert, very shy, doesn't talk much. Let me tell you, this is not a problem. Okay, this is a problem according to the parent. So we're going to talk about introvertness little later, but do not take introvertness as a problem, because every child is unique. Every child is not talkative. Every child is not going to be, all over the place. Every child has a unique quality. So if your child is introvert, it's okay. Until unless the child is healthy, you should not bother about it too much. But of course, if you think that it's affecting the child's academics, it's affecting the child's communication, then definitely it's a challenge which needs to be solved. Lack of confidence, of course, a lot of parents, all parents want their children to be confident, right? Talk well, speak well, walk well. But there are children who lack confidence, and parents are troubled, or they feel that okay, there could something could be done to get confidence back in our children. Health issues, I'm sure. I remember when I was a child, cold and cough was an annual affair, or an annual, bimari, whatever. But today, I think our children have uh, cold and cough happening, say, every month, every 3 months, every 6 months. So children are going through tough time, and it is because of so many things which happen around our environment, which causes health issues. And of course, parents are bogged down with health issues of children. Now let's look at children's side as well. Okay, we have seen parents facing the challenges. Let's look at what challenges children face. So while children are, showing all the happiness outside, children have an inner critical voice, which is so. Sometimes when I talk to children who have inner critical voice, I feel so sad, because they're constantly telling to themselves, maths is tough. Why should I study? Let's study tomorrow. Padh ke kya hoga? you know they have so much of inner critical voice, and as parents we need to identify what are their inner critical voices, and we have to mute these voices so that they can develop into more confident child. They can give up their fears about certain subjects. They can be more confident in future, right? So this is one challenge which children face. Unwanted image. Children, even though they show you that they're very cool, a lot of children have an unwanted image about themselves. Like for example, let's talk about academics, because academics comes up as a very important area where children are getting affected because of maybe parental pressures, society pressures, teacher pressures. But if a child is not great at studies, a child actually creates an unwanted image about himself or herself in their mind, saying that I'm good for nothing because I'm not able to study well. We have to blur these images. This is a very important challenge which child faces. They don't talk about it, but they do face an unwanted image challenge. Painful memories. I'm sure we all have issues back home, right? Everything is not hunky dory. Children listen to conversations, children listen to some conflicts when parents have, and it develops as painful memories in their mind. Yeah. And it's so important that we clear these painful memories. See, if you see the challenges written here, I have not written challenges like social media, etc., etc. These are lot of inner challenges which children face, which as parents we fail to recognize. And that's the reason why I have not put general challenges here. I am putting challenges which children face inside of them. Yeah. Future goals. Children also have this challenge of goals which they are supposed to meet in their lives. And these goals are not created by them. These goals are created by the environment, by the parents, or the way our society is today. And trust me, all children don't want to be competitive. Yeah. You must be wondering, why am I saying that children like to be competitive? It is not the fact. All children do want to be competitive. Let me take an example of my own daughter. Yeah. She is an author, she's writing books. But when I tell her that, listen, hey, you want to take part in this competition, she just tells me, Mama, listen, I'm writing because I love to write. Yeah, I don't want to go and participate in competitions and win or lose, because that's not what I am, and I respect that thought. Yeah, I really respect that, because every child does not want to be competitive and get those certificates and get those medals. Yeah, I have been a very non-competitive child in my life, but today, I'm very proud of what I have done, what I have achieved. So my parents never pressurized me for competition, to go all out. So the most important point which I'm trying to say here is that They get completely pressurized with the goals which we set for them. We should actually not do that. We should set goals for them, but let them understand it, let them agree to it, and keep it absolutely real for them. After all this, okay, we spoke about unwanted image. Again mentioned this, that self image is so important because everything stems from self esteem. If you don't feel confident, if you don't feel good about yourself, you will never be able to achieve what you want in life. You'll always be stuck in life. So it's so important that children's self image and self esteem is taken care of and built up, and they are empowered continuously so that they can do what they want to do in their lives. Fear of exam. Okay, this is something which, you know, uh, we don't really understand it until I know it gets diagnosed. Let me tell you, a lot of children whom I have coached, where parents came to me with academic issues, it doesn't want to study. That was a statement. Doesn't like to study. That was a statement. But when we actually sit down and talk to the child, I understood that it was not that the child doesn't want to study, doesn't like to study. The child has a fear of writing a paper or writing an exam. So, as parents, we need to understand the underlying issues before we generalize, delete, distort. This is an example. We actually assume that they don't want to study, but there could be underlying issues. We need to understand these underlying issues which our children face. Phobia, I'm sure in the age group of say 10 to 15 or say 10 to 12, a lot of children have phobias of swimming, water, heights, sleeping in a dark room. Yeah, they may tell you that, listen, mama, papa, I don't want to sleep. I can't sleep with the lights off. What as parents we do? We switch off the light. We tell them, but then ultimately we just switch off the light and say, no, tumhe sona hi padega. Do you know what happens then? Psychologically the child is getting affected. They get scared, they get afraid, and it actually affects their mental health. So it's very important to understand these phobias and handle them in such a way that beautifully your child transitions in actually overcoming these phobias. Never force your children to overcome their phobias overnight. This is so important because it affects their mental health and even their physical health. And all this, the inner critical voice, the unwanted image, painful memories, all that is leading into a lot of autoimmune diseases in children. Yeah, I am not a doctor, so I'm not going to talk too much about which are these diseases, but these are some research facts which I have brought in here. And autoimmune diseases are actually diseases which happens a lot because of emotional trauma rather than any external environment. So that's why I've put this point here. If you want to know more about it, I would request you please talk to your doctors and understand this more in detail. So autoimmune diseases is becoming common in children because of all these pressures which they go through. Anxiety, of course, children are very anxious these days about everything which happens around. Then they have bad behaviors. They are displaying these bad behaviors in form of their stubbornness, in form of their rebellious, or there could be any other form, which as parents we experience each day. Of course, lack of confidence, unpleasant past memories we spoke of, sibling rivalry. I'm sure a lot of parents who have two children, like siblings together, they have a tough time. And we are going to talk about sibling rivalry in detail in our future session. And I'm going to give you some fantastic NLP solutions with which you can definitely sort sibling rivalries if that's happening in your families today. So, sibling rivalry is another aspect or challenges which every child faces. We may think they are fighting, they are quarreling, but each of them are going through lot of inner critical voice in themselves, lot of unwanted image. One child feels the other one is loved more, the other child feels the other one is loved more. And when you feel that you're not loved enough, of course your image is distorted, your self-esteem goes for a toss. So sibling rivalry is another challenge which children also face. So these are the challenges which we just saw about parents and challenges which children face. Any questions so far? Because now we're going to get into the most important aspect as what as parents we must do to reprogram our parenting. Yeah. And today we are going to only talk about the points. And in the next series, we're going to get into step by step discussion. So any questions so far? I would love to answer them.
I
Or should
guess
we go ahead?
I have a question, but I'm assuming that you're going to deal with that at a later point. If you can go back to the slide, two slides before this.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to clear the past damage repair, right?
Yes.
Now, uh, easier said than done, because all of us, when you become a parent, you're typically in the age group of say anything between 25 and above, and you have your own baggage, you have your own experiences, and you try to do it, but it is indeed very difficult. So, would you throw some light on this as to how one can work on this? Because no matter what you do, the past always comes haunting. While today's parents, as if I talk for myself or all that I see around me, there is a huge change in the way parenting is done today vis-a-vis how we were parented.
Right.
As you rightly said, in our case, you don't listen the first time, the second time, the third time, one flying saucer would come on you, and and you are made, or you would just get a look. But then uh, when our parents gave a look to us or raised a finger that you don't have to do it, we responded to it, responded well to it. But if you look at today's generation, okay, um, again, this might be a myth, but they don't respond to any of these things that have been done earlier. So who has changed? has have we, who have now become parents, or the generation, as one would call the jet age children, what is different in them and us, that what worked for us doesn't work for them?
Right.
And to add on to this, we all got whacked here and there a couple of times. We have parents here also who have much older and grown up children here, which I'm sure they would have also done that. But it never impacted our mental well-being. I mean, I think I look pretty sane, right? So our mental makeup was not, nothing really happened to us from that point. We were scolded, all that happened to us. What has changed? That suddenly, parents need to be coached. Yeah. We want to use newer techniques, to kind of understand what parenting is all about. And why we are wanting to do this, because these children of today's time, they don't really, again, like I said, these could be all my mental blocks, that they don't respond to us, you know and this is something that I have, since I am a mother of a, for a 4-year-old. But as per my age, I could have been, had I married early, I could have been a parent of a grown up child. But I see this challenge with most of the mothers who have children in these things. And then there is a comment that is coming up from Nitika, that I absolutely agree with Ekta. As parents, we are most of the time very agitated. And if there is a struggle being a parent, with each passing phase, this agitation increases. So, do suggest how does one remain sane?
Sure.
So, I
Sure.
hope I'm able to
Yes.
communicate.
Yes.
And we have Sadhya on Facebook saying that it is not a myth, it's a reality. That, parents showed us one finger and we were all sorted.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what has changed, Rezina?
Yes. So, Ekta, beautiful question. And I'll just say one thing. What has changed is the environment. Now, let's just sit back and see when we were children, what was our exposure? What is that we were, doing? What was the kind of competition? What was the kind of environment we had? What was the kind of social media exposure we had? Right? Is all different today. Yeah, we didn't know what internet was until a certain age, right? So, only one answer I have for your question is that why we need to change the way we are parenting today is because our environment has completely changed. Today, you cannot raise a finger at your child and make them listen to you because it's not working. Because one, our children are very, very smart. They know that they know more than us, right? Right? About everything. So the only thing I will say here is that traditional methods definitely, I'm not saying that it may not work. Yeah. Today, when I have to make my child listen to me, I can show my eyes and she will back up and say, okay, all right, I won't do this. Yeah. So that works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. But there are some issues today which we are graving with, which, which we are not able to handle with our typical methods that our children are not listening at all. So that's what I said, earlier, that if you want to get a different result, you will have to do something different, right? When in our work life also, if we want certain result, we try and adopt various strategies, various ways to make it work. Similarly, for parenting, if a method is not working to you, you have to use another method. And NLP is not a new technique. It has been from 1970s. Yeah. Only thing is that NLP is successfully been proven to transform people's lives in various segments. And today, strongly, a lot of parenting coaches are using NLP techniques to also coach the parent and also coach the children. So, my answer to your question, Ekta, is that it's the environment which has changed completely, because of which we have to adopt different ways and methods to actually, coach our children, mentor our children, guide our children. Yeah.
Super.
So that is one part. Um, you asked me a very important question, that all parents, as parents, we have certain past damages which we should repair. Easier said than done. How should you do it? Okay, so my only question, or rather my only point to everyone, is that if you are a parent, take the accountability of it, take the ownership, take the responsibility. Right? You have become a parent, correct? Now you cannot go back on it. अगर आप पेरेंट बने हो और अगर आप पेरेंट हो, तो आगे आपको आपकी पेरेंटिंग, हाउ डू यू वांट टू टेक योर पेरेंटिंग फॉरवर्ड, इन अ पॉजिटिव वे और इन अ नेगेटिव वे, द चॉइस इज योर्स. If you want to take it in the positive way, you need to first work on your own self, on your mindset. Now there are various ways to do it. Simpler ways is do it yourself by making sure that you do not let your past mindsets or beliefs come in your way. You can take a help of an expert, you can take a help of a coach, you can do meditation, you can get into a fitness routine, because all these things help you to be in the right state of mind. NLP can also help you to repair the past damage. It works beautifully, but that's a different section or different segment we can talk about, because we are going to be focusing on children aspect here. So NLP also works on this beautifully well. So my answer will be, to sum it up, is that if you have become a parent, the choice is yours. You want to do positive parenting or negative parenting. If you want to
True.
do positive parenting, then I think take up that baton, take up that responsibility, and let your little human, which you are responsible for, develop into an accomplished adult. So that's what my answer will be, Ekta.
I want to read out some Facebook comments. There's some very interesting ones that are coming. So sorry, just give me a second.
Yeah.
So we have Prachi Gulati Mago saying that I think our beliefs are a result of our upbringing, which is not wrong at all. We need to understand that we need to unlearn, keeping in mind the exposure that our kids have now, which we didn't have, which is quite right. There is a lot of learning and unlearning that needs to be done. So this one is really making me smile. Sadhya is saying that they asked 100 questions for one single thing, and yet they are never satisfied in one go. And Prachi also adds that there is a thin line between teaching them respect and being a controller. So I
Correct.
think a lot of the parents who are watching us on Facebook and here also are agreeing to what you're saying. But I think the biggest challenge is, which I'm sure you're going to be addressing in the next three series, that how do we really implement it?
Yes.
Because what I can understand from whatever you have spoken till now is that challenges are at both sides, be it the child or the parent, right? It probably would be a lot more difficult for the parent to change, which is a fact. But at the same time, to ask someone to change who still hasn't seen it all, what are we asking them to change? So which means that the change lies with us, and we are the ones who really need to unlearn and learn a lot of things. And this reminds me of a program that I had attended, which was not on parenting, but it was a corporate training program, which said Z back. So don't look at always ABCD, but you can always look at Z, X, Y, W, or whatever the sequence
Yes.
is. So
Yes.
that is very important. So back to you, Rezina.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ekta. So we come to the most important part, which is going to be taken up in detail in the next series. So this is just a curtain raiser right now. So we're going to talk about 7 reprogramming techniques, which as parents you can do with a bit of NLP. So NLP is a study in itself. If you want to be an NLP expert, you have to take, you have to learn NLP through an expert. But what I'm going to share with you will be certain techniques which, as parents, you will be able to do it yourself. Yeah. So, what are these 7 steps? Let's go one by one. The first most important element, okay, to reprogram your parenting is to find or know the mode of your child. Okay? Now, what do I mean by this? We are going to definitely get into detail, but just to share with you, it's always and always you should know which mode your child is into, whether your child is into a positive mode or into a negative mode. Moment you're able to identify the mode of your child, your action, your reaction will automatically change according to their mode, and you will see that the results which you get after talking to them or dealing with an issue will be absolutely different than you actually would have got without understanding their mode. For example, if your child comes home from school, yeah, the first thing what we want them is to, chalo, remove your bags, go to the washroom, freshen up, have lunch. How many things are we expecting from the child to do? 5 things already, isn't it? But what does your child do? Doesn't get up from the seat, just sits there, doesn't tell you anything, is grumpy, something is wrong. Now, of course, we are all in a hurry as parents. We have to cope up with so many things and so many chores. But can we not take that 1 minute and instead of giving them 5 instructions at one go, first ask them what happened? The child could have had a fight in the class, the child could have been scolded by the teacher, or the child could have experienced bullying. It can be anything and everything under the sun. So, the first most important aspect to reprogram your parenting is to first find the mode of your child. As a parent, take that 1 minute to find this mode. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't be in a hurry to finish your chores without understanding what your child actually wants to communicate. The second one, and another most important, is find their resourceful state. What happens, when you want your child to listen to you? Generally, when do you scold them or when you start shouting at them or you tell them, is when they are already in a negative state. Like for example, you tell them, please go have your bath. Simple. Okay, they will say, no, I don't want to have. Yeah. Again, you will say, no, you go have your bath. Otherwise, I'm going to scold you. I'm going to scream at you. I'm not going to give you lunch. I'm not going to send you down, etc., etc., etc. Right? Now, what have we done? The child is already in a negative state. Yeah. And we are making it further negative by giving them commands, at least 5, 6 commands at that state which they are into. And their mind is not going to take it. Their mind is not going to take it. Now, parents will be wondering, ma'am, ye roz to nahi ho sakta. Every day my child is troubling me to go have bath. And this is a fact. This happens with me also. Every day I have to tell my daughter or I have to tell my son or my nephew, niece, everyone that listen, do this, do that. What I identified as a parent and when I learned more NLP is that we need to instruct them to do certain things in their resourceful state. When you do that, that's when you will see that they are more receptive to what you're saying. Yeah, we're going to know more about this in future. I'm just explaining this in short right now. The third thing is develop positive commands. Now I'm going to do a small exercise with all of you. Please imagine a pink elephant. Did you all imagine a pink elephant? I'm not able to hear you also. You can just show me a thumbs up. Imagine a pink elephant.
A little difficult. I can only look at a gray elephant.
So you're absolutely different, Ekta. Then your mind works in a very, very different way. Because when I no, it's very good. It's very, very good. I'm going to come to that. Okay, it's very, very good. So when I ask you to imagine a pink monkey, can you imagine a pink monkey?
No.
Imagine a white elephant.
Yes.
So now imagine a white elephant again. Imagine a white elephant. Imagine a white elephant. Imagine a white elephant. Don't imagine the white elephant. You're still imagining the white elephant?
Yes.
Yes. What I'm trying to say here is that our mind scientifically doesn't understand the word no. Do you know why? When I tell you don't imagine a white elephant, you have imagined white, you have imagined elephant because you're able to create an image of those words. But when I say don't or when I say no, you're not able to create an image out of it. Can you create an image of the word no? Like anything, any image? No, it's very difficult. So for children, when you tell them no, they will exactly do what you tell them not to do is because they are not able to understand the word no because their mind, their brain cannot create an imagery of the word no. That's why when you want them to do something, you need to communicate with positive commands. For example, don't cycle too fast, you will fall. What will your child do? She will cycle fast. Instead of that, if you could tell them in a positive way that, hey, listen, cycle slowly, it's going to be safer for you. Does it sound better? Does it sound positive? Yeah. So as parents,
Yeah.
it's so important that you develop positive commands or positive communication when you want your children to do something or listen to you about anything which you want to communicate with them. Oh, this is my favorite. I think somebody was asking, how do I make my child listen and etc. There is this beautiful technique in NLP which is called Rapport. Now, Ekta, Ela, we all know each other, right? We have developed a certain rapport with each other because of which we are communicating with each other so well, we're interacting with each other so well, right? The first thing which human looks for is somebody who is probably somebody who is probably a lookalike like them in terms of habit, style, or somebody who thinks like them, isn't it? Yeah, we all connect with such people, correct? You would have seen uh, people who speak Malayalam will connect with people who speak Malayalam. People who are from Calcutta, they'll connect with people who are from Calcutta. Why that happens? Because our mind, our brain is continuously looking to connect with people who are like us in whichever way or the other. With children, this is also the fact. Children also will listen to you, will like you when they see their shadow in you. Rapport is one of the technique which we're going to learn in LLP. By building rapport with your children, you will see how your communication is getting better and how your children are responding well with you. So building rapport is another way to reprogram your parenting. Everybody must be wondering, oh, I have a great rapport with my child. Okay? We all, as parents, we feel that, right? Of course, we do have a rapport. I'm not saying we don't have a rapport. But there is a subconscious level rapport which you need to have with your child if you are dealing with issues where your child are not listening to you, back answering you, stubbornness, being rebellious, etc. Then the rapport is required at a subconscious level, which we're going to know more about in our next series. The next is great verbal communication. Yeah. So we are going to talk about this in detail, but what I mean by here is that as parents, we need to communicate very well with our children. We need to communicate positively. We need to communicate clearly with them and one thing at a time. This instruction mode which we are always into, where we give them at least 6 7 instructions at a time and they don't end up doing even either one of them, is a bad communication model. We need to improve our verbal communication in such a way that children are clear enough to understand it, absorb it, and then act on it. Lastly, speak to your mind when you're parenting and speak to your child's mind when you're parenting them. We are going to learn the techniques, how you're going to do that, but that's also one of the ways which you need to start reprogramming yourself when you are parenting your children going forward. It's going to be parenting from brain, parenting from mind, and even your child, understanding your child's mind before you actually parent them or tell them, or you seek, or you actually want them to do something which you expect them to do. Lastly, this is one of my favorite. When you want your children to do something, you need to talk to their neurons. Yeah, you need to talk to their neurons. We parents and we all of us as humans also, we we actually use a lot of emotions when we are dealing with people. Yeah, which is very good, which is very much required, definitely required. But when you combine it with brain science, it's a best technique to have, whether you are a parent, whether you are a leader, whether you are a public speaker, whether you are a celebrity, whomsoever you are. If you have this combination of using brain technique, talking to somebody's neurons, you will see how the outcomes will be. And the outcomes will definitely be positive. What I want to say here is that I'm not saying that 10 out of 10 times your children are going to listen to you. But today, if it is 10 out of 10, you will see that at least 5 times they are listening to you. 5 times they will still not listen to you. Yeah, we cannot be 100% perfect parents. Nothing can be 100% perfect when it comes to children. Children are like sponge, they absorb, children are free from their mind. So you can't expect perfectionism here. But if that problem today is at 10 level, it will definitely come down to a scale of 5 to 4. That much I can assure you. So these are the 7 steps which we are going to learn in our future series, which will help you to reprogram your parenting and look at it from a different angle, look at it from brain science perspective, look at it from talking to the neurons of your children so that you can get better outcomes. So this is it from my side, Ekta, today. I have kept this very, very light. I did not get into too much of detail. So the future sessions are going to be much more in detail. So this is what I had to share with everyone today.
Rosina, I have two questions from a participant.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So let me read them out to you.
Yeah.
You spoke about fear in
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay? So she wants to ask how to deal with fear in toddlers. Now, the
Toddlers.
lady who has put up these questions is a mom of 3 kids.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So
Okay.
yeah.
And out of which the older one is comparatively older, but the younger two are at a very narrow gap actually. Okay. So the middle child
Mhm.
is always trying to grab the attention.
Mhm.
दैट एक प्रॉब्लम उनका ये भी है कि वो उन तीनों के बीच में बैलेंस करना उनको मुश्किल हो रहा है
जी.
बिकॉज आई नो हर पर्सनली
Mhm.
एंड उनका जो बच्चे हैं उनके अंदर कुछ सर्टन फियर्स हैं
Okay.
छोटे बच्चों में
Okay.
टॉडलर्स में so
Okay.
how can she identify those fears and then how can she deal with those fears?
Sure. So, Ela, we have a session on fears and phobias specifically in future.
Yeah,
But I would just
yeah.
like to know the age of the child, Ela, the age.
I think
Yeah.
one
Is it
the
under 5? Is it under 5?
both are, yeah, the older one is I think close to 9 or something and then the younger two are within the age group of 5.
Right. Wonderful. So
Yeah.
here, Ela, see, I would just say this thing very importantly. I really love this question. Okay. Fears and phobias are never to be taken lightly because, as I said, that if it is not handled
Okay,
appropriately,
so Rezina, I have the answer. First, the older child is 10 years old, then 3, and then 1.5.
okay. So, as I was saying, that fears and phobias should never be taken lightly because it can actually damage the child when it is not handled appropriately.
Yeah.
So, if there is fear and phobia in the child, generally the way to handle it is first to find out why, what is the fear, what is the phobia about. And there are a lot of techniques which you can use to help your child overcome that fear and phobia. So we are going to talk about in future about this. So I'm not going to get into detail now. But yes, through NLP, you can take away anybody's fear and phobia in minutes. Yeah. With children, it takes slightly longer time because you need to work on them. But with adults, it works beautifully. There have been people who were scared of heights, scared of water, and I have seen them with minutes of conversation. They have given up their phobia and fear, and the next day they have gone all the way out and learned to swim. Yeah. So this is what we are going to. This is what NLP, how it can work and it can help. But however, right now, what the parent can do is, of course, first find out the underlying reason for the phobia and fear. मुझे अंधेरे से डर लगता है. That is not the reason. Find out the reason. क्यों अंधेरे से डर लगता है, what happened exactly that this has caused this fear, right? And then accordingly we can start working on solutions thereafter.
Because I think as parents or in households where they have grandparents also, or people who are living in a joint family or rather a nuclear family too, हम बच्चों को ऐसे ही डराते हैं कि बाथरूम में बंद कर दूंगी, कमरे की लाइट बंद करके तुमको बंद कर देंगे,
जी
है ना? We are the ones who are actually introducing them to fears.
Yes.
Kids are generally fearless.
Yes, absolutely well said, Ila. Children are absolutely fearless. As I said, children are like sponge. आप जो उनको दोगे, जो भी environment दोगे, वो absorb करेंगे. और fears or phobias, as I said, they, until the age of 10, everything stems from our homes. Yeah. So yes, there are parents who use this technique of scaring their children. कभी बंद कर दिया, या light बंद करके उनको बिठा दिया. These things can affect them, and these things can lead to fear and phobias as well. Yeah, you won't believe, there are some parents who come to me saying that their children are having, fear of sleeping in the dark. When I speak to the parents, I realize that the parent had the similar problem when they were a child. Yeah. So somewhere or the other, there is an impact which comes from us on our children, and we need to understand how do we identify them and work on it with solutions.
Thank you, Rezina. There's another question from her.
Yeah.
Maybe like I am very sure that in the our next episodes we will be dealing with this also. She wants to ask about the scenario when there are grandparents who, instead of taking responsibility, do a lot of interfering in parenting.
Yes, that's a peculiar problem, and
Yes.
I also coach grandparents, by the way. So
Okay.
just on a lighter note, so
Yeah.
yes, that's a peculiar problem. Now here, see, Ela, here, something very important is that as a parent, I mean to say both the parent together. If it's a single parent, then also it's fine, and if it's both the parents together, I think it's so important to talk it out with the grandparents and tell them that these are the do's, these are the don'ts. I know it's very difficult, it's impossible also, I know it. Okay, I am not telling you that this is the solution which I'm giving you, but it's important to communicate with them on a regular basis about what's affecting the children, what's not affecting the children, and see how best you can involve them, you know, in parenting, involve them as much as you can in a positive way, involve them, or see how you can build accountability, responsibility jointly together and try and change their perspectives towards this. But I am telling you, Ela, being a parenting coach or children's coach, it is difficult to handle grandparent interferences until and unless both the parent decide together and say that, okay, this is how it's going to be, this is how it's not going to be, and they sit out and communicate with each other. I think constant communication can just help the situation and keep improving the situation. But iska honestly 100% solution koi nahi hai.
Noted.
Until the grandparents also get coached, that's the solution.
So
Yes.
all in all, I wish we had such kind of experts when I was raising my kid. Though luckily I didn't have that kind of my child was a very well balanced child all through her life, but still I would have done a lot better as a mom.
So I'm again repeating with what I started. I think we parents are the best. We are doing the best for our children. We are also going through so much of stress, so much of responsibility around us. I think sometimes, we have our hard days as well. But there is this one state of mind which I always tell parents to be in, and I practice it. I also fail, but I practice it. Is that I always say to myself that I have brought my child into this world. Yeah, this little child is come into this world. I am the hero of my child or the heroine of my child. The child is looking up to me. I think it's my responsibility, no matter what's happening with me in the background. I need to give an accomplished life. I need to take complete accountability, responsibility, and do whatever I can to bring my child up. I think all parents are doing that. Only thing is, yes, these tips and these techniques can make it easier and faster. Yeah. But as a parent, hats off to you. I mean, you have really brought up, we all of us are bringing our children up so well. We are all are struggling, and I'm here to help in whichever way I can. so that it can become easy, it can become simple for all of us.
I have a question, which, of course, looking at your last slide and the challenges that you spoke about, what a child has or what a parent has, you will be addressing them. But, small children generally are introverts, okay, and they don't like to engage with people, they don't talk. And more so now in the current environment where, the social skills for especially the toddlers who would have just started to go to school, or in that age bracket of 2 to 4, when they start talking, when they start understanding that there is a world beyond mommy and daddy or grandparents, they, I feel, what I see around me, or even if I see my own child, because they haven't seen friends, they haven't really been able to have that human connect with classes being online. So there I see that has this whole environment, the last 1 year environment, has been a dampener when it comes to them being comfortable with more people around,
So,
you know and that's a typical environment that one also sees in a child, when parents don't send children to a play school, because a child doesn't know that there are uh, other people of my size available, because all they see is themselves and they see elders.
yes.
So that is one part. And the second is that, when a child doesn't engage with another child, they start behaving like an adult, right?
Okay.
And then that, while that innocence is still there, but their thought process is very different.
Mhm.
They start maturing more than their age. So how does one deal with that? With the that introvertness, or lacking the social skill, or being overly matured before their age?
So, Ekta, yes, that's the fact today. It's been last 9, 10 months that our children are in the house. They have not experienced the external world, not socializing. And yes, it hampers the social skills of a child. Yeah. Now, in this case, what you can do best is, because obviously I would not recommend you to send your children outside. It's still, we are still recovering from the pandemic. The couple of things which you can do is you could probably engage your child in activities which are group dynamics. Yeah. So you could make your child do activities. Of course, they are all going to be online. We don't have a solution right now for this, but whatever we have, let's make a best out of it. You could probably put them on activities which has group dynamics so that they can interact with other children, work as group together, do some activities together, and they could see at least their size of people, at least in the cameras. That at least we can do that much. Now, coming back to the second part, which is sorry, before that, also want to add, as families during this time, I saw that a lot of families got together, where they did Zoom calls with their extended family members, cousins, and this and that, which we never did, all this while. So I think children getting exposure to this also helps them to develop their social skills in a lot of way. So as a conscious parent, you can actually do a month, once in a month, an entire family get together via Zoom. Let your child host it, like give your child that responsibility. Maybe the child may not be technologically savvy, but your child can actually, write some message which you can put and send it on WhatsApp to everyone as a family. So involve them in these group dynamic activities, and you will see that their social skills are intact and they will learn more, and they'll be open to meeting little humans of their sizes once everything opens up. Yeah, that's one. Second is getting matured. Ekta, here I just want to say that, and if your child is healthy, if your child is laughing, if your child is behaving well, it's okay if your child is getting slightly matured than their age. It is fine. There's nothing in the world which says that if your child is matured than their age, is it that it's bad? It's not at all. If your child is showing positive signs of it, then lovely. But if there are negative signs of it, then of course it can be dealt with, it can be understood, and it can be correct.
Sure. Super.
Yeah, great.
Super. So we have some nice comments coming for you, that it was a lovely session, and beautiful thoughts and ideas that you have shared. And I'm sure all of us are looking forward to know these 7 steps to reprogram our style of parenting. At least I am, for sure, because with a child who's just 4, so my experience in being a parent is just 4 years. whereas Ela has an experience of 28 years. So, so you have a very diverse group. And of
Yeah.
course, we have others also who have grown up children, and the ones watching also have, different age group children. So, really looking forward to have. And I can't read your name, but iPhone is saying that this was a great start. Looking forward for the next one. It would be lovely if you could share your name. We'd like to acknowledge your name.
Pooja.
Pooja. Okay, so that's Pooja. So wonderful. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Pooja. Wonderful.
Yes.
So I guess, Rezina, we are looking forward for the next session. So, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
absolutely.
next Saturday, 4 p.m., Rezina is going to be here. We will share the details as to what is it that she's going to be talking about. And do block your Saturdays, 4 p.m. for the whole of February. If you wish to be an effective parent, whichever age you are in, however, howsoever, young or old your child is, I am sure there will be something that you will take away. And if not for your own child, if you are a parent of a grown up child, you will soon be a grandparent. And, as Ela asked that about the interference or the involvement of grandparents, which is very beautiful. But at the same time, they think differently, you think differently. So, for all you know, if you get them or if you yourself attend this program, maybe your style of grandparenting will be very different than what we see in general. So, I guess, Regina, we asked you a couple of questions, and we want your closing comments, and then we look forward to the next one.
Sure. So my closing comment will be for everyone who is listening to us right now and will be joining us in the next session. There's one thing I want you to all practice till the time we meet. Yeah. Because if you don't implement what we are going to be talking to you, then there's no point of we having you here. We being, here. So there's one thing I want everybody to start working on is, remember we spoke about when we receive an information, our mind generally tries to generalize situations or things, distort and delete, right? So one thing which I want you to practice this week is that whenever your child comes to you with a thought or with anything, instead of judging the child, okay, do not think anything before your child comes up and opens up and talks to you. Do not generalize your child's behavior. Do not distort your child's behavior. Do not delete. Listen carefully, understand, and then react without being judgmental. Try this. It is tough. You're going to fail several times, but you will also pass many, many times. So this is one thing which I would want everybody to practice before we meet the next week.
Super. But Regina, before I'm going to let you go and have Ela have the last word, I could not imagine a pink elephant, and you said it's a different
Yes.
thought process. I want
Yes.
to know more about that.
Yes. Ekta, generally, maximum people, uh, we have a tendency to generalize, distort, and delete, which means overall we judge, right? Your personality, if you're saying that you did not imagine a pink elephant or a white elephant, then your personality is a very non-judgmental personality, which means you are not generalizing, deleting, and distorting information, which is very, very good. Okay, if you're already doing it, Ekta, it's really wonderful, because when you don't generalize, delete, distort, you are not judgmental. And when you're not judgmental, life is much better. Correct? I'm sure everybody will agree. So that's one of the points, Ekta, when it comes to what you asked me right now.
Okay, super. So, Ela, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rezina. We actually, there were so many eye-opening facts that were shared by you today. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And yes, within a few years, I may be a grandmother. So I will carry these points with me for sure. And I speak on behalf of so many friends of mine who will be watching it tonight.
Great,
Okay,
great,
my age group people, they'll be
great.
watching it tonight and they have so much to learn from it. And we have to thank you for that. And we are really looking forward to your next session that is on next Saturday at 4 p.m. So let's meet again. And thank you all for joining us and putting across your questions. And we want the numbers to be doubled in our next session. And I'm sure we will have that. Thank you, Rezina. And thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.